Yo, what's good, Spirit Squad? Today we're going to be taking a bigger look at the list that we just 4-0'd with in a preliminary event in our last Pioneer video, and that's going to be a take on Spirits Control. So what we saw previously was a more mid-rangey version of Spirits that played some bigger cards, like it had Cycling Shark Typhoons, it started off with the Wandering Emperor being in the main, it had copies of cards like Memory Deluge, and now we're going to try to tempo that up even bigger, so that now instead of a smaller low to the ground tempo deck like Azorius Spirits usually is, with or without Curious Obsession, or this mid-range version that we played last time, here what we want to do is go even bigger. Now we've transitioned into a full-on Yorion deck, and, well, shoutouts to all the modern homies because you can't play Yorion anymore, so meh, deal with it. Anyway, we totally get to. To take some advantage of that, we've got cards like Portable Hole that can come into play, take out a creature token, and then get blinked back with Yorion to take out a different creature as well. So that'll be something to take note of. We've got cards like Cemetery Illuminator that can be blinked in and out to exile multiple cards from opponents' graveyards, or sometimes just get like a more preferable card type in, right? But that's not the most exciting part. The most exciting part to this, I believe, is that we actually get to play with cards like Omen of the Sea, and Omen of the Sea does a couple of things for our deck. First of all, it actually lets us ensure that we hit our land drops a lot more often, seeing as, the Scry 2 and Draw 1's going to be pretty important early game. Or, if you're in the late game, this is a pretty sweet top deck, right? Like, you get to Scry 2, draw a card, maybe you put 2 lands you don't want on the bottom, and then you can pop it for a later Scry 2. It also plays very, very nicely with Yorion. The second thing that Omen of the Sea does for us is that it enables us to take advantage of cards like Geistlight Snare. Since Omen of the Sea is an enchantment, it's going to reduce Geistlight Snare's mana by 1, without actually having to resort to playing cards like Curious Obsession, which, to be fair, I am still all about. Curious Obsession is fantastic, but we're allowed to take this deck in a different direction because of the synergy between these two card types. And of course, almost all of our creatures are still spirits. Nothing's changing there. We do, of course, have 2 copies of Brazen Borrower, but seeing as we're playing Yorion, we have room for 80 cards. That means we're going to have 4 copies of Shacklegeist, which the mid-range version of this deck did not have, and a full 4 copies of Nebelgast Herald, ensuring that we're going to be in charge of combat pretty much all the time. That's a lot to ask. And in previous decks, like Mono Blue Spirits, we played 4 Shacklegeist and maybe 1 or 2 Nebelgast Heralds, but those lists also were not playing 80 cards. Here, we are, so we have room for 4 Lofty Denials, 4 Geistlight Snares, and 4 Nebelgast Heralds, ensuring that we're going to be the best mix of cards that are good against spells and cards that are good against creatures. We've got a Memory Deluge here. I didn't really want to play a second one because I don't think I ever want to have 2 in my hand or in my graveyard and or some mix thereof. But I think a Miser's One of is pretty good, even when you consider that this is an 80 card deck. To play nicely with the Nebelgast Heralds, we did want to keep our instant speed spirit count very high. That means that we're still going to be playing all 4 copies of Spectral Adversary, a lot like we did in the last video. Spectral Adversary is a card that I've always been at least medium impressed by anyway, right? Just like as a 2-mana threat. But now, 2 mana in this deck means you can be doing pretty much anything. You can hold up some combination of Lofty Denial or Geistlight Snare if you have a spirit or an enchantment out. You can draw cards with Omen of the Seas. You can play Spectral Adversary or Rattle Chains. Or if you already have a Rattle Chains, you can play a Shacklegeist or a Selfless Spirit. This deck has a ton of options as soon as you hit your second land. And then, like we already discussed, we're still going to be playing Cemetery Illuminator. This is a card that I was impressed by previously. We're still going to be playing copies of Brazen Borrower, since this is also a card that I just always like anyway. Like, I've been playing it in my mono blue list for basically forever now. And as far as the land base goes, this is going to be a 33 land deck because we do want to ensure that we're still having options for all of our spell-based lands here, like Otawara. We've got a couple of copies of Iganjo. We've got all 4 copies of Field of Ruin going in this list. Because we are playing 80 cards, we can fit all 4 copies of Field of Ruin in. That doesn't mean that we necessarily want lands that are bad, right? So we're still going to be playing a giant pile of basics, even more so than last time. In the last list, I believe we did 2 islands and 2 plains with 2 Field of Ruins, but now we're playing all 4 Field of Ruins. So we're still going to be playing 2 plains since we don't really want too many white sources that are not also blue, but we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 basic islands to go along with that. So now we've got 8 basic lands to go with our 4 Field of Ruins. So I think that's an acceptable ratio there. And then we still have our couple of copies of Deserted Beach. We've got our one-of castles of Ardenvale and Vantris. And we're going to be playing a couple of copies of Glacial Fortress as well, since we're playing 8 basics and 4 Hallowed Fountains to go along with these. I don't want to play more than 2 Glacial Fortress in this deck, though, just because there will be enough lands in this deck that are not islands and swamp or islands and plains. Like we still have Otawaras and Iganjos, we still have Field of Ruins, we still have Pathways, a Darker Wastes, lots of stuff, to the point where Glacial Fortress is not always going to come into play untapped on turn 2. So I only wanted to add a couple of these because these are still really excellent late game top decks, like your turn 4 or your turn 5 if you need to hit your land drop then, right? But I don't know that 4 is the right number of that, so we're not playing 4. In our sideboard here, this is something that I wanted to condense down a little bit. So we're going to be playing multiples of everything, no super cute one-ofs, of course, with the exception of Yorion itself, because we are playing an 80 card deck still. So here, we're actually going to be playing 3 copies of Remorseful Cleric to go on top of the 2 copies of Cemetery Illuminator. Last time when we played 60 cards, we only played 2 copies of Remorseful Cleric instead, so we're going to up it to 3. Still going to be playing Negate here. I'm still choosing Negate over Dovin's Veto because of the fact that we have so many copies of Basic Island, Otawara, Field of Ruin, to the point where you will keep some lands that contain just 1 and a blue as your mana sources. And with Negate over Dovin's Veto, that's okay in a lot of matchups. You can still cast these, you can still cast this entire bottom part of your deck here, you can still cast the entire top part of your deck here and a Memory Deluge without ever seeing a white source. So I think forcing Dovin's Veto is a lot harder on this deck than just playing Negate would be. So we're just playing Negate. We're playing 3 copies of Mystical Dispute, and this can go up to 4 if you really wanted to. And our super cool card of the day here is going to be Temporary Lockdown. This is a card that we've talked about in the past. Well, I think it was when I was going over Dominaria United spoilers. Anyway, it's an enchantment. Again, Geistlight Snare synergies. And when it enters the battlefield, you exile all non-land permanents with mana value 2 or less until this thing leaves the table. And that actually plays really nicely with a few of your things, right? So first and foremost, we know that it gets rid of all of your creatures from here and your Mausoleum Wanderers here. It will also reset any copies of Portable Hold that you might have on a table. We know all of those things going into this. However, you have immense upsides. Again, being an enchantment, it does help with Geistlight Snare. That's accidental upside. The real upsides here are, of course, A, that you have a sweeper against the more aggressive decks, and you can clean up all the Llanowar Elves and Sylvan Caryatids that Mono Green tends to want to play too. Same with Wolf Willow Haven, so you can clean up like all of their mana, which is really nice, even if you're on the draw. But you can blink it with Yorion too, which is super sweet, right? Like, you're trying to say, for example, slow down mono white aggro, and you get a temporary lockdown in play. Now they're stuck trying to come back with a board, right? And you can spend your turn 4, I don't know, maybe you Portable Hole something plus Yorion into your hand. Okay, now they're stuck rebuilding a board and trying to attack you. Maybe they get an attack for 3 or 4 off, right? Then you can untap Yorion. Now you have a 4/5 and you can blink your temporary lockdown. So like all of their stuff is temporarily freed, but at the end of your turn, it's just going to come back into play and lock everything else down, right? So that's going to be a bit of a really annoying line that you have access to against decks like Mono White. And temporary lockdown can profitably exile your own Ominodices. So if you get rid of temporary lockdown, or if your opponent wants to, maybe to free a couple of their creatures, but you've also freed up Ominodices, then you're just going to get to rinse and reuse that draw engine too. So that's a little accidental upside of temporary lockdown, but realistically it's there to halt the aggro deck's attempts to kill you. So if you fight something like mono red, mono green, mono white, sense a theme, any heroic stuffs, or even mono blue spirits, because they play a lot of 1 and 2 drops with Curious Obsession on them and stuff like that. Temporary lockdown, I think, is going to be a pretty big help against those things. And then, of course, we've got all 4 copies of Aether Gust, because we don't necessarily want to get outpowered by mono green, since this is not a Curious Obsession deck. It's going to be just a tad harder for you to deal with their stuff. Upside, You have 4 Aether Gusts in your sideboard to help with that, and Temporary Lockdown to help stifle their mana just a little bit. But also, against the things like Cavalier Thorns that would normally give you a super hard time, remember that you are a deck that plays 4 Shacklegeist and 4 Nebelgast Herald on top of counterspells, Brazen Bowers, Spectral Adversaries that can phase them out. You have a lot of tools to fight stuff like that. But the 4 Aether Gusts certainly don't hurt. That's going to be our deck. I'm really excited to play this, as you can tell by my rambling, and that's really going to be it for today's discussion on it, though. So what we're going to do is just jump right into today's Moxel, same as always, and I'll see y'all in round 1. Let's start with Aegis again. I think that was a pretty good starting word. Okay, we've got an I and a G and nothing else. Nice. I don't know. Let's try Guild, like Guild of Ravnica. Okay, so we got the G in the right place, but nothing else. Noted. Ooh, let's try Gonti. There's a commander I actually know. Yes! Nice, nice, nice. Alright, round 1's here. We got the die roll against Stormcrow. That's a hilarious username. And we get to reveal a companion. That's nice. Our hand is, yeah, I'm in for this. So if they're playing something creature-based, I've got Portable Hole Shacklegeist. And if they're playing something spell-based, I've got Omen of the Sea and an attacker. So either way, I'm pretty happy about this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of lead off with Island Go and really see what they come up with. Hopefully this will lead them to the assumption that I'm straight blue-white control, but Yavimaya Coast? What are we doing with Yavimaya Coast? Well, I'm going to do something with Shacklegeist, so let's just kind of see what happens. Thespian Stage. Oh, we're doing this. Okay, that's fine. So we are definitely playing against the Lotus Field deck, and that means that I actively want to maybe put Brazen Bower on the table. I want to start using Omen of the Sea to find counter spells, things of that nature, so that we're able to provide like a clock and a bit of defense here. Of note, they found Thespian Stage as a land drop, which is actually pretty good for us. So that means that they're a little bit less likely to have like Lotus Field plus Thespian Stage already assembled because they're stuck using one to sacrifice. And the alternative to that, right, is that they're simply stuck doing the thing where they're waiting until like maybe turn 4 or something. If this is just like a Sylvan Scrying, there's nothing I can do about that. Our Boil Grazer, I'm okay with. So here against a Grazer, they're still going to get to do their Lotus Field thing, which is obnoxious, and I can't really do too much about that. But what I can do is play Brazen Bower here. Okay, so they do have the entire package. And I want to play the Brazen Bower specifically so that I can just untap Portable Hole here. Oh, that's actually a pretty good draw. Okay. I'm still going to do it, though, because I want to get through for 5. I want to get my clock increased here, especially if they're not going to do anything other than using this next turn to, like, use this as an extra copy of this. So if that's their entire plan for next turn, then I'll be pretty glad to just get my board nice and developed here. And remember that I have Geistlight Snare and an Omen of the Sea, so I don't have to choose between these 2 cards. I can just play both. A third Thespian Stage. Okay, so now they're definitely just going to be spending this turn copying that, and I'm clearly super okay with that. So let's find another counterspell on top of the deck, if you don't mind, deck. Neither of those are a counterspell, and I will be able to effectively counter that. Yeah, let's do that. I want you on the bottom, you on the top, and I want to untap. So I want to make my land drop immediately so that whichever land they decide to use as a copy of Lotus Field, I'm going to get to blow up. So that part's really sick. So now they're going to go to 6. I am not going to take down my counterspell mana here. I think I'm going to just hold up Field of Ruin. Or can I play Shacklegeist? No, I can play Shacklegeist. What am I talking about? I have mana for everything. So this gets a little dicey if they simply pass without using a Thespian Stage. That is an option they have, but I don't think they are going to choose that. So this is the Thespian Stage that's being used. Oh god, did I just let that slide? Did. Oh my god, we're so bad. We're so bad. Oh. There. That's embarrassing. Alright, well now they're gonna just get to do that too. Oh god, that was such a bad misclick. Oh my god. We probably just died to that. And I can't even like target this one profitably either. Oh, that is so bad. Now they're gonna untap and they're gonna get to play a land, and that's gonna make 8 mana, which means I can no longer counter a pour over the pages. So I really have to hope that they flounder here, because this should have been able to just like get this not for free, but pretty close, you know, and I would have come out with an island so that they're stuck basically copying this all over again, or hoping a pour over the pages resolves. And now they don't have to hope for anything. They can just kind of outpace me by making a land drop. Oh, well, it's tapped, so all right. I might be curious as to what they intend to do here. If the land is tapped, I don't know what they could have, unless they're doing something in their second main phase, which is totally possible. Oh, all right. Well, I'm going to play the second Field of Ruin, and we're going to get an attack in. I've got a Geistlight Snare, so let's see what you can do, opponent. Hopefully it's not too bad, whatever it is. Beseiju Portable Hole to bring back the... I mean, I can't do anything about that. So they're going to get to block here, take 4, go to 2. Well, all right, you got me. So let's just grab a basic island here, and they get to put a land from hand to table. You can do that. I can't do much about that. They don't have one, which means their hand is all gas. Okay, so they're going to take 5, go to 1. You got it. And let's see if they go to copy this land. Hopefully, we'll just do it right this time if they do. Yeah, all right. I still can't believe I did that. All right. So there's no more Thespian stage, at least. And realistically, there's no way they don't play like another basic here, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and let them untap here. And in their draw step, let's aim for the breeding pool. So we're going to do this in their draw step on the off chance that they drew a basic for their turn. So it's extremely unlikely that that ever does anything, but sometimes you will actually get to snipe a basic land in their hand for their draw step. So it's just very technically, but still is correct to at least try for the snipe when possible, and either it worked or they didn't have anything sick. That misplay was still really huge though, so I'm not proud of that. But it looks like we're gonna get to put in some mystical disputes, some negates. We're gonna take out some anti-creature measures, so like the portable holes. Even though it was fine against the Arboreal Grazer there, it's still not exactly what we want to be doing. And Nebelgast Herald is a little worse than Brazen Borrower here. Actually, both of these cards are worse than better than Cemetery Illuminator though. And I'll put in 1 Aether Gust, because I don't want any Cemetery Illuminators. So the Illuminator technically has the option to beat out cards like Lier and stuff like that, because you can stop them from flashing back all of their cool stuff in their graveyard, which actually is probably worth like some of these spots, right? Like Nebelgast Herald is not at its best in this matchup. That's actually better. So yeah, the Nebelgast Heralds and the Shacklegeist technically help against the Arboreal Grazers, but so does just like beating their face in. And we want more creatures that have a bunch of text. So like Remorseful Cleric costing 2 rather than 3 is super good when you're considering things like, you know, holding up counterspell manas and stuff like that. This hand is actually okay. So like on the draw here, I will use Mausoleum Wanderer to counter like a Sylvan Scrying on the off chance that that puts them off just enough turns to make my Field of Ruin worth my time, right? But here, I still do want to draw a third land though. Like, being on the draw isn't necessarily where we want to be in life. I am, however, glad that that was not an immediate copy of Arboreal Grazer, so that's a small blessing. Here, again, if they Sylvan Scrying, they kept 7 cards. Oh. No Sylvan Scrying. And we drew a white source. Okay, well, I'm in for that. So let's play our white source, since I can't currently do anything about a Lotus Field dropping or anything like that, right? Like, they're just going to get to do the Lotus Field thing, and that's just kind of what it is. But what I can do here is get my attack in. And you know what I actually should have done here? What I should have done here, I think, is simply played Shacklegeist pre-combat. Use this to counter a copy of Sylvan Scrying if they had it. If they didn't have Sylvan Scrying, then that's fine if they just drop a Lotus Field with nothing to do, because I can untap with this in play and make Field of Ruin my land drop. However, I've now given up 1 point in attacking power for that. So I'm still going to do it because it's still right, but it doesn't mean that the play was right, because I should have done this to get my extra point of damage in. And sometimes it matters, right? Okay, so there's the Lotus Field, and they didn't even have the Sylvan Scrying anyway, so the extra point of damage, I'm not going to go so far as to say it's like super ultra relevant, but I think it's relevant enough to the point where we still should have taken it. But here, I've got a lot of interaction, right? Like, I've got double counterspell here, I've got a spell queller just kind of chilling. I think I will use my Field of Ruin on Boseiju anyway. No, I won't. Untap. I'm just gonna make my land drop. So here, if they do something I care about, like say, a Thespian stage, then I can hold up my Field of Ruin. And if they don't, then I can like Memory Deluge or something. Oh, they're gonna do nothing. Well, that's really good for me. So here we just want some more land drops. Wow, I want all of those. I'll take a Glacial Fortress and a Negate, I guess. Just blessed with all the good stuff. So we're going to get our attack for 2 in here, or for 3 rather. And yeah, we've got a hand of a land drop and 5 counter spells. So, I don't know. Good luck, opponent. So this is probably a Vizier cycle. Oh, Hidden Strings then? It is in fact Hidden Strings. Okay. So in that case, I'm going to start off with a Mystical Dispute. See what, if anything, they want to do about that. The answer is nothing. Is this another Hidden Strings? It is not. So now that we know they're doing nothing here, I'm just going to do this, grab ourselves an island, and do the untap. So I'll play you as a white source. We've got 4 blue. I think that's enough. And with 6 mana available, I can cast any 3 counter spells I feel like here. So I'm pretty confident that we're doing okay. And that also means that this will be the turn where I will jam a Spell Queller just like onto this empty board here. Like I've got a bevy of resources and I do want the clock to be shorter than it currently is. A Supreme Verdict, honestly, not a bad little piece of tech. Not gonna happen, but it's not bad. That's really funny though. I wonder if that's actually what they were waiting on, because remember they had Boseiju the entire time, so like they couldn't cast Supreme Verdict without me giving him an island. So that's actually really funny if that's what they were waiting on. I also do need exactly 1 more land drop if I want to. They were totally waiting on that. Okay. That's actually fine then, because now they can just cast another Supreme Verdict that I don't care about. So I just want to draw basically any creature. That's not the creature I asked for, but I do still have Memory Deluge plus 5 counter spells, so I really just want to see 1. And if they spend this turn not really doing anything that's like super concerning, then I can make them effectively waste resources on trying to build up to a 5-drop, and then still, a Dig Through Time. That is not a waste of time. I will definitely be countering that. So now with 2 mana, they're going to do nothing. Okay. So more land drops, which is fine as long as I just see 1 creature to back all of this up with. So now they have 5 mana, so they can start casting scary stuff now, like there's Pour Over the Pages. And I'm still going to be using my most expensive counter spells to deal with this, because I still want all of my stuff that costs 2 to actually cost 2, whereas this for right now, oh my god, I have a Yorion I could have been buying. Oh dear god. That could have been in hand like 2 turns ago, right? Whoops. Jeez. Oh well. At least now I have Counterspell plus Spectral Adversary, so like it's not nothing. I totally forgot this, but that doesn't mean that that's a lot of mana. Okay. So now they can cast a Hidden Strings to untap these 2 and start going off. Oh, Porta Pages, that's not happening. Are they out of mana? They are. Alright, so I'm just gonna Spectral Adversary, not do this, and then Lofty this. Alright, and that's gonna be match, but yeah, hopefully we get some kinks kind of kicked out, because like this matchup for us isn't terribly difficult, but like the game probably should have been over a little sooner than it was, because I had 7 mana right over the course of a few turns, so I could have like bought this, held up 4 mana, untap, played this, held up 2 mana, and that still would have enabled all of my counter magic. So whoops. But let's move on to the next round. Round 2 is here, so is our opponent. We are going to reveal our friend Yorion. And what's our hand look like? Not bad. So we've got a blue source, a white source, a Field of Ruin, some stuff to do. Yeah, I'm in. So let's see what it is our opponent's playing. Den of the Bugbear. Okay, so we're playing against some mono red BS, which means I really just want to see some portable holes now. That would be kind of lovely, and I'm not even mad about the idea of holding up Iganjo as just an option to block an attacker here. So again, the portable hole would have been super nice, but you know, that's not what we got. I also really like this against 2 of these. That seems really nice for us. So if we can ever get it to the point where they're stuck activating these, we can undo an entire turn with Field of Ruin. Oh, we're playing against a Bushwhacker version of this deck. Well, this one, oh god, oh no, oh no. Oh no. Oh, this is gonna be difficult, y'all. We might not We might not survive to a turn 4, y'all. Turn 4 for Iganjo might not be realistic. So let's see what actually ends up happening here. Oh, Legion Loyalist too, so everything just has first strike now? Yeah, we're dead. We are ultra dead. So let's hopefully not have that happen again. So we want lockdowns, we want Aether Gusts, and things that I don't really want so much include like Lofty Denials. These are not fantastic. And I also don't really want Shacklegeist. So Shacklegeist is one of those trap cards, right, where like it's pretty good if you already have 2 spirits on the table at the same time and can do the tapping thing. However, Shacklegeist can't block on its own, which makes it a really awkward draw. And you're just like not really gonna have too many unmolested creatures on the table at the same time anyway. So like doing that against the aggressive deck that plays like Play with Fire, Bone Crusher Giant, and can sideboard into things like Gruul Charm, I'd rather just try to use cards like Temporary Lockdown to like give ourselves more time, because our cards are all better than theirs. So if we can just get to the point where we can play our cards, then like it's still not great, but it's not as bad as it could be. Okay, so this time we're going to be on the play, which is a huge difference from being on the draw. And do we get anything to show for it? Shacklegeist into Nebelgast Herald is a good core for getting creatures under control. Getting to that point in the game is going to be difficult, but it's possible. So we are certainly not paying 2 life here. So let's see what kind of aggressive start our opponent can come up with. And yeah, let's find out if our lovely little core here can get us there. So we've got Kamano, which is annoying, and a pathway is okay. So I'm just going to start off with Shacklegeist, see if they want to spend their turn either developing a creature with a +1 counter from Kamano, or if they want to spend it killing Shacklegeist. If they spend it developing a creature that doesn't have haste, then our Nebelgast Herald is going to look really good. But if it's something that doesn't have haste, like, I don't know, it carries Ev or something, that's just a 2/4, then that's actually pretty okay. Swift Spear is going to be a 2/3, that's at least medium annoying, and a Legion Loyalist. And they do remember that Shacklegeist can't block, so I'm going to take my 3, cry about it, and let's go from there to being able to Nebelgast Herald and tap 2 of their creatures. So Legion Loyalist is still going to be able to attack just fine, and I can't really do much about that. But I will be able to tap the Swift Spear, tap the Etching, and then just kind of like go from there. Okay, so now that they're going to go into their combat step, this is where I'm going to flash in my Nebelgast Herald, and hopefully I actually get to tap down 2 creatures. With 3 open mana up, it's, of course, super likely that I'm just going to get at least one of these creatures killed so that I don't have the ability to use the Shacklegeist, or at least not effectively. They can just, like, respond to this by killing this. But if they don't have it, maybe they're planning on, like, Ember Cleaving, for example, then we might have gotten out of exactly that. But I'm still looking for other things to go with the Nebelgast Herald, right? Like, I do have a Spectral Adversary, which is super nice, and it looks like my Shacklegeist is dying. Yeah, alright. Unfortunate. Go away. So I'm still going to take this 3 here. Yeah, I'm going to 13. You got me. A Brazen Bower's not even the worst. So what can I do here? I am definitely going to attack because I don't plan on blocking with my Nebelgast Herald. And then from there, I can Spectral Adversary, tap down the Swift Spear, play Omen of the Sea, looking for a temporary lockdown. So let's see if we're allowed to do that. So once again, I'm going to move to combat, play my Spectral Adversary. And the idea here is that I definitely want to like tap down the Swift Spear and then just like trade with the Etching. And I'm not going to do this because I still want to play my Omen. Okay, you can get blocked if you don't mind. I go to 12. That's not that bad. They can play their Bone Crusher Giant, and then hopefully we can kind of just go from there, right? And looks like that is exactly what's going to happen here. So let's find a temporary lockdown if you don't mind. That is neither, but I will take both of these cards. I want the Iganjo more than I want the other thing. Opponent just said, oh my god, I just realized you're a Yorion list. Yeah, we get to do some fun stuff here. So I am going to go to 10 here. The idea is that I want to Iganjo the Bone Crusher Giant and Aether Gust the Swift Spear. So I should not pretend like I'm going to block this turn. I'm just not going to. Yeah. That's really funny from our opponent though. Like I'm sure they didn't even think about it until like we had already started with the The Omen of the Seas. Okay, so Stomping Ground. So now they're probably aiming to like put this up, which is honestly fine by me if that's the case. So they're going to play Kamano instead. So I'm going to take one from the Kamano, and that's going to take away their ability to attack with Den and a Bugbear though. So I don't necessarily mind that. It also means that I can Brazen Bower the Swift Spear. I think I like that more. So if I Brazen Bower this, I Ganjo this, then I just take the one from the Legion Loyalist. They can replay the Swift Spear, but like, okay, that's fine. So you're allowed to have your trigger. I don't plan on blocking anyway. So here's this, and I'm not casting a spell, so I'm not taking 2, and I'm going to Petty Theft you. So if they want to Brazen Bower, okay, I was gonna say if they want to Brazen Bower, if they want to Ember Cleave this, that was their window. Let's see if they just want to like cast a Swift Spear again or what they want to do. Okay. So what do I want to do with this turn? I think I don't really have much as far as options go, so I'm just going to put this in tapped. I'm going to buy my friend Yorion here, and I'm going to hold up Nebelgast Herald plus my Aether Gust, and really just kind of hope that's good enough, right? So let's see what happens here. Of note, I need to make sure that this doesn't actually get to attack because of its cool little trigger. Because that just means that like this isn't really going to be able to block super well, right? They can animate Den of the Bugbear, which complicates things. Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens, I guess. Because if they animate Den of the Bugbear, then what I can do is no, still just die to this, really. Okay, so let's see if they want to activate this, or if I'm really just soaking up damage with this Aether Gust here. So it looks like they are going to animate the Den of the Bugbear. Got it. So I can do a couple of things here. If I Aether Gust the Legion Loyalist and they don't get the trigger, and Nebelgast Herald can then block Den of the Bugbear and get rid of it, I take 3, 4, 5 damage total. I can get rid of Aether Gust. I'm sorry, yeah, get rid of Aether Gust on Den of the Bugbear and soak up 1 damage from this 3, 4, 5 and take 4. I think what I want to do is, I think I want to get rid of this and make a top deck temporary lockdown look a little bit better. So I'm actually going to stop this in my upkeep. Let's think about that. So I can take this, scry 2, see if I can pull off what? Yeah, I don't have any other draws. So I'm going to pop this, look for the lockdown, and find nothing I want there. So let's draw step. And that's not anything I want. So we're going to, unfortunately, die a miserable death to the red deck, and let's move on to round 3. Alright, welcome to round 3. We get the die roll here. That's exciting. Let's reveal our lovely friend Snake here. Bird, serpent, not a snake. Okay, whatever. It's a snake. Yeah, go away. And this is going to look a lot better here. So I've got Hallowed Fountain and Glacial Fortress, which is a start that I want here. So I am going to keep. And the thing that I want least here is probably going to be the... Is it Deluge? I think it is. That's unfortunate. It helps me unmulligan though. That's pretty sweet. So I'm actually going to get rid of the Nebelgast Herald. I do have 3 more Nebelgast Heralds in this deck, so it's not like I'm necessarily bereft of resources or anything like that if it comes down to this being a creature matchup. But I will get to put you into play tapped, get rid of this upkeep stop from last time, and see what my opponent happens to be on. Blight Step. Okay, so that's fine. If we're playing against Rakdos, then that's not a matchup that we necessarily super cared about the Nebelgast Herald in any way. Like, it's medium important. But here they're probably just going to take like the Spell Queller or the Deluge and make me work a little harder at these things. I think that's okay. They are taking the Spell Queller. Oh, Rattle Chains. That's actively very good. So now if they're going to spend their turn 2 doing something that I don't particularly care about, then I can just like EOT Spectral Adversary, untap, hold up Rattle Chains, and that's pretty exciting. So if this is just like a Blood Tithe Harvester, oh, a Croxa, that's fine. Do I just get rid of Spectral Adversary and say screw it? I think so. Like, I'm not getting rid of my land drop. I don't want to cast Rattle Chains into nothing here. So, like, this is one of those matchups where, like, Rattle Chains as a Rattle Chains actually kind of matters a lot. So, I'm pretty content to just hold this up, right? Like, I can Omen of the Sea, find more land drops, get to Memory Deluge, and just kind of, like, that's annoying but tolerable. Like, I don't like Graveyard Trespasser happening here, but like, it is what it is. So let's see what I find. We find an Iganjo, which is good as a land and it's good as a spell. And it looks like it's going to get to do both here. So I can Iganjo this Trespasser away, getting rid of Rattle Chains holding up Deluge. It's not good, but it's not the worst. They are going to get rid of 2 things here if they feel like it. And then post-combat, they can resolve something like, what, like a Shieldred or something? That's pretty obnoxious. Oh, they're just not even waiting. They're just going to do it now. Yeah, that actually sucks a lot. So I actually think we've just lost this one, y'all. I mean, yeah, that's a little melodramatic here, but like, we're working with 1 fewer card than they are, an active 4/5 on the board. We're getting rid of a card just to help like deal with this thing. So honestly, it is kind of a lot currently. So any one of our like, what, 95 counter spells for this would have been nice, but that's, you know, not what we got. So we can Field of Ruin a creature land later on, which is nice. There's not really much point to casting Deluge here, so I'm just gonna let them like take their turn, do whatever they gotta do, and then I can look for some combination of like Brazen Borrower plus Counterspell to bounce and then counter this on the way back down. So cards that I'm a little worried about here include like Kikijiki's pretty obnoxious. Okay, well, there's a creature land I was talking about earlier, so it's good to know that, I guess we know where all of those things are. So, do I just want double Omen? That's pretty dangerous against that. So I think I want to just take Omen plus Pathway here and untap. Like, this clock is, definitely not going to get shorter by itself, so I'm going to keep up the Field of Ruin for the Den of the Bugbear here, but I won't lie and say I'm not scared of this Shieldred just like attacking me down for 1,000,000, right? Like, I currently can't do much about that, and I'm not a fan of that. Okay, so it looks like they're not gonna do this. I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of get punched in the mouth. Not a huge fan, but it does happen. And what's this? Stomp my face. I will not touch that. Instead, I will just Spell Quell the Bonecrusher Giant itself on the way back. Yeah. Oh, well, there's the Brazen Borrower I asked for. So that's very ill-timed, honestly. I only have 6 lands, too, which is not 7. So what I can do here is if they fire up Den of the Bugbear, then I can bounce Shieldred in response to that, and Field of Ruin? Yeah, alright, let's see if they do that and go for the win. Dang it. So I guess I'm gonna Petty Theft this first. And they can't activate Den of the Bugbear, so I'm gonna do that now. Get rid of Shieldred, and I'm gonna look for either a Counterspell or Rattle Chains to protect the Spell Queller. There's a Counterspell. Oh no, they have 3! Oh god, I'm bad. I'm bad. Oh, that just, whoops. Alright, you got me. I'm bad, I feel bad. Let's go to the sideboard. So, things that I want here. I don't hate the idea of just, like, negate, and I don't really care about Portable Hole in this matchup. I guess I'll put in Remorseful Clerics rather than those. Like, Portable Hole can technically take out the Blood Tithe Harvesters. If they're playing Tenacious Underdog, they're allowed to do that. But for the most part, it doesn't really have too much text. And against this deck, previously, I had in the sideboard where the temporary lockdowns are, I was playing cards like Dream Trawlers, and had even considered the wedding announcements from when we played Mono White. So like, there's plenty of options against this. You can even, since this deck goes quite a bit bigger, you're even like able to play something like Elspeth Conquers Death if you really want to go over the top of this. It's also nice that it hits cards like Cavalier of Thorns too. So this is, what are we against? Rakdos? This is honestly kind of terrible. So let's see, I'll just get rid of that. I don't really care about a Darker Wastes here. So let's go ahead and get ready to skip at least one turn here, and then see what we can kind of dig up here. Okay, so it looks like a nothing as far as that's concerned. I still don't want to be hitting more land drops deck. I would like action, please, especially against this deck that really wants to take away all of my action. So what are we playing here? A Bank Buster. Okay, so that is a card that I've said I've liked out of this deck quite a few times, actually. I think it's pretty good. So here, I'm going to go ahead, get my attack for 2 in. So what do I want to do here? I think I actually just want a Shacklegeist. So this way, if they like Liliana, then they're not taking all of my threats away, right? If they Thought Seize me and get rid of the Illuminator, then yeah, sure, you got me there. But I can still just like buy Yorion and be on like the fast track to having creatures again and stuff. And if they play like some removal spell here, then I can Cemetery Illuminator to... Yeah, that counts. I can Illuminator... Oh no, don't Thoughtseize me too. Oh, well, that's still annoying, but not as annoying as I was thinking. So, do I want to buy Yorion here? Do I want to Nebelgast Herald here? How much do I want to play around Thoughtseize is really what I'm getting at here. I think I'm going to hold Nebelgast Herald here. So, the idea is that I want them to fight over Nebelgast Herald so that I can untap with 5 mana, Cemetery Illuminator, and then hopefully draw a 2-drop. I will also be able to see the top card of the deck here, so I'll know whether I want to specifically look for... Kroxa is mostly fine. So here, if it's going to be Kroxa, I guess I'm going to get rid of the land. Alright, let's get Bone Crusher Gianted, I guess. So they're probably going to have a stomp for this, but if it's not a stomp, then I at least get to attack here, start developing. Found a land anyway, that's nice. So let's get our attack in. And if their whole plan is to draw with Record or Bankbuster, then I can't really do anything about that anyway, so oh well. So... what's on top of our deck? It is a creature, so I'm going to get rid of their Kroxa. So now I don't have to worry about that, and I can just bounce this back to their hand. That's pretty sweet too. Yeah. Oh, right, I can't cast Petty Theft. Duh. That's not the first time I've done that. It'll probably not be the last. So, yeah, you can only cast exactly the part that matches this, so I can only cast Brazen Borrower and never Petty Theft, which is kind of annoying. And now I can just, like, Dreadboard this, and they do. Gross. So, I guess a medium upside here is that I can Petty Theft plus buy Yorion. That's not nothing. Oh, they're just going to attack me with that? That's fine, I guess. Alright, so let's go ahead and buy that, get my attack for 2 in, and here if they want to just like crew the Bankbuster again, I'm pretty okay with them just taking that. Stomp my Nebelgast Herald, will you stop it? So here they can play the new Bone Crusher Giant, and then use this to crew the Bankbuster and try to attack me for 8. That's kind of a big deal. Alright, so at least I will get to Petty Theft this now. Definitely not Petty Thefting either of these, taking damage for no reason, etc. So I'm going to take 4 and go to 9, but now I've got a 4/5. That's bigger than these two, but hopefully isn't also just dead to like a Liliana, right? Illuminator's good for another turn. So hopefully they don't have like just a Dreadbore number 2 or a Liliana. They can draw into a Dreadbore with Bankbuster, but like, unfortunately, I think that's a problem for future Dre. Okay, let's see if they want to just attack here. They don't, which is actively great for us. Okay, cool. So now what I can do is hold up Spectral Adversary so that I can phase out of some the Yorion, and doing that will make it a 4/3 and thus able to trade with a Bone Crusher Giant. So I'm fading a Liliana that way. I'm fading, well, half fading a Liliana. I'm still stuck taking a boatload if I deal with Liliana. But I can also Adversary to like phase out one of the Bone Crusher Giants if their whole plan... Ugh, that's actually really obnoxious. So how do I beat that without a counter spell? Because I don't have one. Okay. So now let's cast this. Do I want to phase Shieldred out, or do I just want to activate Brazen Bower? Oh, well, I guess that answers that. So now how are we going to... that's not going to do it. There's a land on top too. Gross. So I'm basically doing nothing the rest of this game, is what you're telling me, deck? Okay. So I guess I'll attack with Brazen Bower because that's like what I can do. And then I really don't think I have a way to beat all of these 4 power attackers. That's just like not a... Oh, and they have a Fatal Push anyway. All right. So we're at 7 and they have 4 attackers. So I'm going to go ahead and click this little button here and let's move on. All right, welcome to round 4. On the draw, we reveal our friend Yorion here, and our hand's okay. Like, we've got Omen of the Sea, Nebelgast Herald, another way to recoup card advantage in Cemetery Illuminator, and hopefully we start drawing lands that are not going to come into play untapped, because, like, currently Castle Vantress into Evolved Sleeper, so we're playing against, like, Mono Black, or is this, like, just some, I don't know, something else? Are we just playing... Oh, it's just like Rakdos, but with Evolved Sleeper? I don't know. If that's the case, seems pretty alright. Gifted Aetherborn. I no longer know exactly what we're playing against. It might just be like some mono black style deck with a small red splash. I don't know, maybe for like just Bone Crusher Giant or like just Kiki Jiki or something. Alright, so they're gonna make this a 2/2. You got me there. And let's see if here I can find like a portable hole or something would be alright. A Deluge and a Spell Queller are not on the list of cards I want here. And to be fair, neither is Basic Plains. So let's play our Castle Vantress, and I guess I can start the Nebelgast Herald train here. So I kind of wanted to give Nebelgast Herald exactly one more turn, right? So that I can Nebelgast Herald, have a Spirit and an Enchantment, and then cast Geistlight Snare. But here, what are we doing? Sign in Blood. Yeah, alright. So I don't like letting that resolve, but I think it might be a little more important here for me to get my cards developed since they can't Fatal Push this now. And that'll give me the leeway to start doing things when I untap. So this is fine. Like, I'll take the 2 from Evolved Sleeper here. I go to 13, and then I can untap and then have Spectral Adversary plus Geistlight Snare, or Eiganjo plus Geistlight Snare. Either option is alright by me. Oh, I should have attacked. If I'm not going to block, I shouldn't be, like, feigning that, right? So exactly one more land lets me Spectral Adversary plus Eiganjo. I think I'm going to Eiganjo and hold up Geistlight Snare, getting rid of the Evolved Sleeper. And then kind of get this in control before I can start drawing cards, right? This also plays around the possibility of them having, like, Knight of the Ebon Legion, because that can always just come in play and then start gaining power and toughness, since I will have lost 4 life this turn. What is this? Leyline of the Void. Well, I definitely do not care about that. Like, I understand that this means I'm playing against Devotion, but I'm pretty okay with that. Oh, Portable Hole. Even more so now. And then the Geistlight Snare can counter some big giant play, right? If they want to cast, I don't know, say a Shieldred or a Grey Merchant or something similar this turn, I'll be pretty glad to Geistlight Snare. And that counts. That is definitely a card I'm willing to get rid of. Another Evolve Sleeper, you got it. So now I can really just get my attack on here. You are 3 mana to become a full 3/3. Got it. Which means I want to just do this. And there's a land on top, which is a little annoying, but I will still get rid of Evolve Sleeper so that I can draw a creature out of it later on. And the last card I want to hold is Spectral Adversary, so I can just flash it in. Yeah, I'm in for that. So what do I want to start happening here? I think I want to... Oh, I don't have a blue source. Alright, you got me, opponent. I'm bad. So I'm not blocking that. I'll just take my lumps here. If they want to pay 3 mana into it, that's okay. I guess I should have just played this, but I didn't look at my mana, so I thought I had a blue. Whoops. Alright, so I'll take 2 and go to 9 then. So they're going to cast a nothing, is what we're casting. Another land is not exactly what I was gonna say I preferred, but you know, it's what we got. So let's go ahead and start attacking here. I will get rid of, I guess, your Planeswalker. Maybe they play around the Wandering Emperor. And to be fair, there are versions of this list that have played it. I'm simply not playing it. So here I'm going to play my Selfless Spirit, my Shacklegeist, and then we'll hold up Spectral Adversary with an actual blue mana this time. That still felt really bad though. So I'm at 9. That's fine. That's less fine. Alright, I can't do anything about that, so you got me. There's also Basic Mountain in this deck, which means that I think there's more happening here. So if they just like animate Hive of the Eye Tyrant, then I'll be able to like flash in Spectral Adversary and tap with Shacklegeist, which is nice. So let's see if I'm allowed to do all of these cool things. Okay, so the Evolved Sleeper is tapped, and they are not going to fire up a Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Does that mean we're getting tapped out for a Gary here? No, it's a Croxa getting rid of my Yorion. That's fine, I guess. I guess it's especially fine since I already have the Cemetery Illuminator that can attack. So here, if they're just gonna like, I don't know, Liliana tick down. Nope. I'm not gonna get to do that. Never mind. They just had the Fatal Push ready. Guess it's time to cry over it. Oh, right. We knew we were drawing the Hallowed Fountain. That was a mistake of me to keep it up. I want to simply attack for 2 then. Let's put that into play tapped. I can tap my Castle Vantress to scry for 2 instead of using the Omen here. And I do need to be, I guess, a little worried about my life total here. So we're going into combat, which means I get to tap down the Evolved Sleeper, but they can just like respond to that by firing this up and then attacking, right? So we're currently having a medium bad time with our life total, but it looks like they're more focused on spells. Obnixilis. Well, that doesn't suck at all. Alright, so I'm going to lose 2 life to that, go to 5, assuming they plus each time. Okay, so they're not going to plus each time, which means I'm only going to be losing 2 and going to 7, but they're gaining 2 and going to 14 because this is on the table now. So let's get our scry on, see what we can draw. I actually kind of like both of those. I do want to draw the Spectral Adversary first, though. All right, so I'm going to just work on killing the Obnixilis here, and hopefully they don't have anything to say about it. Looks like they don't. Perfect. So here, if they want to like fire this up, the adversary will be able to get rid of both of those things, phase everything out, and then I'll be able to just kind of like untap and start profitably attacking, which is really nice. And it looks like that is the goal here, which is pretty great for just me. So let's move to combat, and I am going to let them attack before using my adversary here. All right, because I don't care if they get rid of like this with the Hive of the Eye Tyrant, right? But I do care a lot that they're tapped out of black now. So let's go ahead and simply do this. Yeah, whatever. Guess I'll extra tap that. 1 and 2. Yeah, so the Iganjo's gone, but like, what do I care about that? And we are drawing the Omen of the Sea. I'm just going to do this now. Geistlight Snare and Otawara. I don't really want the Otawara. I definitely want this. So I'm going to attack for 6 here, go to 8, and the Shacklegeist can tap down a Hive of the Eye Tyrant if they're going to try to attack with it again, or Geistlight Snare can counter Kroxa if they find a red land and want to cast that. That's not a red land, so they're probably just firing this up, and I'll just take this attack. That's kind of whatever if you ask me. I mean, nobody asked me, but you know, let's still get rid of Gary. That's not happening. I definitely do not want to be on the other side of an attacking Gary. So if they have a Fatal Push for one of my creatures, then they are still like able to compete here. But I currently think we're okay. And it looks like we are. So we're going to be playing against mostly black Devotion here with a very, very small splash for red, looks like. So I do want the temporary lockdowns. I want the portable holes. I think Brazen Borrower is honestly kind of bad here. And I don't really know that I want to change anything else. Yeah, like the rest of this looks fine. Like Brazen Borrower's medium embarrassing against cards that like are either simply on the battlefield for black pips like Leyline and Avoid, which we just do not care about, or it's for things that like cost 1 when Petty Theft costs 2. So like we don't really want to be bouncing things like Evolve Sleepers and Knights of the Ebon Legion. Instead we can just play cards like Temporary Lockdown that effectively do the same job much better, except they're on mono black, so they don't actually have good ways of getting rid of enchantments. Well, the enchantment's not relevant if I don't have the lands to actually cast it. So this hand is really good, unless I just don't draw other lands to make these two great. So do I want to gamble? We all know the answer to that. Hell no. And this hand is much, much, much better. So here, I want to get rid of the Nebelgast Herald. Yeah. So this plays medium. I don't care about that. It does get my Memory Deluge, which is fine, but even that's only a 1-of, so like I don't actually care that much about it. Rattlechains is actually kind of a nice draw. There's a Kenzin, okay, and it looks like we're not playing cards like whatever that thing I'm trying to think of is currently that I can't think of. Blood Tithe Harvester. But this isn't so bad, right? Like I can Omen of the Seas, get my land drops developed, and start doing cool stuff from here. This I don't care about because I already have the portable hole, so that's kind of whatever. And then if this finds like a Spell Queller, for example, I'll be able to protect it with Rattlechains, which is nice. So let's do this first and start looking for stuff. I don't want the Plains. I do want the Glacial Fortress. I just put one of you away. What do I want to do here? I think I'm just going to Fortress, Portable Hole, and I suppose I can establish Rattlechains as a threat to get like a first piece of removal out before I can start doing things like developing my Memory Deluge with my mana. I think I kind of like that actually, especially since like they're working with 4 cards in hand currently, so like I may be doing a little better on the mana front here. Actually, I think that's okay. If they make a Devil, I can just like play Rattlechains. Looks like that didn't happen. So I'm just gonna lose 2 life, that's whatever. So if this last mana from them here is a Fatal Push, then yeah, sure, you got me there. But if it's not exactly a Fatal Push or a Cut Down, I think I'm okay. It is a Cut Down, okay, that's fine. A Lockdown doesn't do anything right now, so I will just play this and exercise my right to use Memory Deluge. So I do want to get the Obnixilis off the table, but to do that, I think we're just going to have to like start getting to the attacking part of the game here. What's this? That's a Shieldred. That's annoying. And I don't have anything good to do about that. Great. Okay. Oh, you're late. A counterspell for that would have been great. Shit. Now what? I guess I'm kind of stuck just going Spell Queller plus Rattle Chains and then try to attack up Nixilis and then worry about this later? That's a terrible plan. Liliana. Okay, so I suppose I will Spell Quell that and then see if this last card's like a Fatal Push or something else to deal with it. Alright, so it looks like, yeah, I'm just going to get beat down by the 4-5 here. Not really too much I can do about that currently. So here, now what? Guess I just have to like Omen of the Seas and hope for the best, really? That's a lot, especially since I'm taking 4 more damage too. Rattle Chains and Shacklegeist are not going to do it. Yeah, so I'm going to 8, we know that. And I know I'm going to 6 off of, oh, it's another land. Alright, let's just go to game 3. Do I want to change anything else on the play? No, I'm on the draw. Do I want to change anything else on the draw? Yeah, let's take out the Shacklegeist. Still don't particularly want Brazen Borrower, but upon a second look, they are better than Shacklegeist. All right, so here we get to play first, which is nice. And our hand is, hooray. We can actually keep this one. Sick. All right, so I'm going to play you as a blue land. I do want to do all of this stuff without taking a bunch of damage if it can be helped. So let's see what they come up with on their turn 1. Hey, no Leyline at a void that I don't care about. Alright, so ideally here, they play something that I don't really care about so that I can just use my Omen of the Sea and make land drops with it. That sounds ideal. Evolve Sleeper goes into the category of things I can worry about later. Oh, Urborg. Gross. And honestly, Urborg itself isn't gross, but the fact that I have to like actively devote brain cells to trying to not tap everything for black is pretty obnoxious. So let's go ahead and just play this. And we actually have a couple of cool things to be done here, right? Like I can, yeah, that's whatever. So if they want to pump a bunch of mana into Evolve Sleeper, I've got Petty Theft. If they want to really cast anything, I can Rattle Chains plus Geistlight Snare. So we've got a pretty decent route here for being able to participate. All right, so it looks like they're not going to do anything there, which I do appreciate. And a Gifted Aetherborn. I don't mind using the Rattle Chains into Geistlight Snare here. I do, however, mind that. So I want to counter the Aetherborn and let Fatal Push rock. Do we find a land? We do. Okay, so now this is pretty good again. So I can Memory Deluge, and since they don't have Leyline, I can actually flash it back if we get to that point in the game. I can Rattle Chains plus Lofty Denial. I can also Brazen Borrower if they just pump here. So I've actually got a lot of options. So if here they're just going to make me take 2, then that's kind of whatever. I can deal with that. So let's see what big stupid thing they want to cast here. Liliana. So I am okay with just Lofty Denialing that. Like, get out of my face, please. And I will also Petty Theft this. So this is really more to just like use my mana than do anything else, because I'm currently not doing anything else with that. Iganjo is medium, mostly because the things I really want to be finding are like counter spells, just in case my opponent's going to come at me with like land plus Shieldred or something equally dangerous, right? Like I just don't want to deal with that. Let's get rid of that draw step stop too. So you can have your Evolve Sleeper, that's fine. And if you're just gonna Gifted Aetherborn, that's okay too. So now I just want like a temporary lockdown, and I find one. Nice. So let's lockdown plus lane. Yeah, we're just gonna do this now. I don't need to get cute. Also getting rid of my Omen of the Seas, which is kind of cool, and buy Yorion. So if they like Thoughtseize away my Yorion, then that's a little bit sad times, but I can still like come at them with my Rattle Chains and stuff. Each player discards a card. That's actually a little obnoxious. I guess I will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So I'm going to get rid of the Hengegate Pathway here, because if I draw another land, then I can, like that, then I can Yorion, do all the cool Yorion stuff, but then also flash in Rattle Chains in response to the Liliana. So that's a thing. All right. So now this is going to come back in. I am going to bottom that and top the Lofty Denial, Brazing aside. And yeah, so now the temporary lockdown is going to come back in. We get to do this thing again. And hopefully they don't just have like a Fatal Push or something for the Rattle Chains here. If they do, then I'm going to cry, especially since that'll be the 3rd one. But if they don't, then hey, you know, we're okay. Probably. We'll see. And they do. Great. All right. Oh, Rave of Enfeeblement. That's actually pretty good. So we get got by that. And now what can I come up with? I suppose we have the... Oh, that's good. Yeah, actually, that's really good. So now I can Brazen Borrower. Their uptick can discard Lofty Denial, and then I can kill the Liliana. Yeah, I'm okay with that. They discarded Children. Alright, so that means they probably have another. Let's put Brazen Bower into play and do the untap. So here I'll keep myself a little bit of protection for the Brazen Bower by simply not attacking there. And I will hold the land in case of, I guess, what? A Kroxa? No. I highly doubt this is a list that actually plays it, but that was kind of easy to see coming there. We saw them discard another one with the Liliana. A Hallowed Fountain is not exactly what I wanted here, but I will attack you for the 5. And then here, at least we can flash back our Memory Deluge and go from there. So, like, this is still fine. Evolve Sleeper, that's okay. And we're just going to pump the Evolve Sleeper. Yeah, you got me there. So if this is just going to be a 3-3, then so what? Yeah, that's fine. So now we get to flash this back. And what do I want here? I think I want the Spectral Adversary plus Selfless Spirit. So I'm going to play the Selfless Spirit now, and hopefully that tells them that I don't have some kind of crazy instant speed thing to be able to do. Like, we know that I have the Spectral Adversary just waiting to be that crazy instant speed thing, but they don't know that. So let's see, if they land Hive, then I can deal with that. That's actually okay. That doesn't do anything. Yeah, so I'm actually just gonna do this and like phase things out. Twice, yes. So I would like to phase you out, and I suppose phase you out just in case. So now I'm threatening 9, even if I have to use the Selfless Spirit. So I'm in for that. Sweet. So now we're 2-2. Let's move on to the last round. Alright, 5th round, last round. And our hand is, against Gigantha. Is that a Mayhem Devil deck then? Ruh-roh, Raggy. I think I want to give myself a chance to use Omen of the Sea Spell Queller profitably here. So, they're taking a mulligan, which doesn't mean that life is necessarily good for us, but it does mean that life has a little bit of potential, right? Like, if this is just mono red, or is it prowess with Gigantha, then like so be it. But at least this will give me some out against like Claim the Firstborn and friends. So that's not Stone and nothing. And Blight Step means that we're definitely playing against freaking Mayhem Devil. So here I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and try to attack, and I'm really just kind of crossing my fingers here. So if they have turn 3 Mayhem Devil, that's gonna be some BS to try to beat. But most other things, even including Fable actually, are at least slightly manageable. So I do need to worry about next turn containing a 5-drop. I don't want either of these actually. What I really want is like, yeah, I was gonna say, I really just want like a Lofty Denial or something to make this a little more palatable. So I've got options here. I can either try to tap the token down and deny Corvold, or I can risk Corvold and use Spell Queller to get rid of Mayhem Devil. Neither one is actually good, but this hand can beat a Corvold where I don't think it can beat a Mayhem Devil. So I'm gonna try to just hedge towards Mayhem Devil. I mean, they're just as likely, right? Like the Corvold lists just play 4 Corvolds and 4 Mayhem Devils, so it's not like there's more math one way or the other. But I think with the power of Nebelgast Herald and Spectral Adversary, I am at least medium well equipped to handle a, do I even worry about that? So what happens here? If I Nebelgast Herald, tap this down, that denies them a Mayhem Devil or a, really anything unless they have exactly untapped black mana. So I think I'm gonna establish this now and tap down the Goblin Shaman. So if this is like a Claim to Firstborn and this is a Witch's Oven, then yeah, sure, like, I'm Omega dead to that. And it's not an untapped black source. Cool. So, like, this can develop, like, Witch's Oven stuff, but there's no cat. I get to untap with a Spell Queller or at least a Spectral Adversary. So there's the Witch's Oven. Okay. Do not do it. Oh, come on! Ugh, seriously? Boo. God. I swear it's like they have it every single time I ask them to literally have anything else. Alright, so now what? I am basically just stuck hoping my Spell Queller's useful now? Man, that's rough. Harvester? That's not the Mayhem Devil I really want to be using this on, but I suspect they don't have one, so I'm going to use this while the getting's good. Especially since I'm just, like, not beating a Mayhem Devil if they do have one anyway, so, like, whatever if they do have one. A Deadly Dispute. Almost as bad. Also a Fatal Push? Come on. Oh, a cat. Honestly, still pretty annoying, but a cat's like 55th on the annoying list. Realistically, this entire archetype is pretty obnoxious for us. But, am I blocking anything? I can block the shaman, so I'll give myself a chance to block the shaman. So now they can do their cat oven shenanigans, you got it. Okay, so Haunted Ridge by itself doesn't mean anything. If this is a Corvold, I think we're not beating that without an actual counterspell, so I'm off it. So I was willing to fight that fight if we had access to, what am I thinking? Like, a Lofty Denial, or even if we still had access to the same copy of, like, Nebelgast Herald that we had before. But I think as soon as like the Nebelgast Herald goes away, we're no longer really able to contest with that with the Corvold anymore. Like, it's just super hard to overcome anyway, so I don't really mind just kind of packing it up there. I want to take out 3 more cards, and I think they're all named Nebelgast Herald. Like, I've got a lot of Aether Gust in the deck now, so we're a lot more able to handle a Corvold than we were previously. And to be fair, we did have a decent amount of outs to being able to either counterspell or bounce or otherwise deal with it. In the game 1, we just, got our Nebelgast Herald killed, and that's kind of all she wrote there. So let's go ahead and start like this, and we can plan towards white source for lockdown if they start off with like cat oven nonsense, and even if that ends up being the case, right, like I can still Lofty Denial something relatively important here. I've got Lofty / Aether Gust for a turn 3 Mayhem Devil. So there's actually like a lot of stuff that we can do here, and a Blood Tithe Harvester is what they're going to be playing. I think I'm just going to adversary here. I'm not going to worry too much about that. If they want to kill the harvester to get rid of my adversary, then so be it. Okay, so now we have a Remorseful Cleric, which is good later against cat oven nonsense. So let's go ahead and get my attack for 2 in, and I'm going to hold up the combination of like Lofty Aether Gust, and then next turn play this, and I can Remorseful plus hold up one of these. So like, certainly not bad options. Okay, so it looks like we're just getting attacked here, I think. Yeah, that's mostly fine. Alright, so there's a green land. What are we doing with it? We're casting a Fable. I think I'm gonna let Fable rock here, because I kind of want to just temporary lock down the Fable token and the Harvester and the Blood token. I could counter to deny the loot, which is the pretty big part of this, right? I can also just Lofty it and not have to trust this to be alive to make better Lofties later. I think I like that best. Yeah, because I don't want to go around like sleeping on Fable either. Like, that's not our goal here. So let's go ahead, get my attack for 2 in, and I want to see if your list is playing a basic amount. Gonna grab an island. Oh my god. No basic period? Oh, well, that's good to know. Well, we've got 4 Field of Ruin, so that's certainly one way to beat Mayhem Devil deck. So here, what else can we... I mean, if they're just attacking us, like, that's kind of whatever. I'm okay with that. Village Rites. I can't counter that, so I'm not gonna try. You got me. Is there a land drop? There is a Dark Boar pathway. Okay, so now I'm gonna get to untap here. Spell Queller's a really good draw, and let's get our attack in. So I'm gonna do this and hold up Spell Queller. Okay, that's fine. They can filter out Bloody Betrayal, so they're signing into even more of those Flame to Firstborn style effects. Luckily irrelevant because I have the Spell Queller here, but if they have a way to like sacrifice something, even like a blood token, am I supposed to worry about this, or do I care more about a cat? I think I am supposed to worry about this. So I want to make them fight over this. If they have a way to get rid of Spell Queller, then that's fine, because I can still temporarily lock down the Witch's Oven. Fatal Push, so I will get rid of their Graveyard Den. And a Deserted Beach is a pretty good draw, because now I can hold up like a temporary, hold up Aether Gust, but also use this turn buying Yorion, which I do want to do. So give me my 5-drop. A second Witch's Oven, you got me. So now if they have a cat... Oh, they don't. Okay. I was gonna say, if they have like exactly cat plus Fatal Push, then I am a little susceptible to that, but this is a really good draw. So let's go ahead and attack for 4. And now I'm just not going to do anything else, right? Like, I'm just going to hold up the combo of Aether Gust and Lofty Denial. And realistically, that should be good enough for 2 more turns. Like, it's probably going to take a lot with their 3 lands and no red to get over these 2 with 2 counter spells up. Deadly Dispute, I will choose to Lofty that. No, I won't. What am I talking about? That's how I walk into Fatal Push. I'm not walking into Fatal Pushes. Okay, and they pack it up. Cool. So now we get to go into the game 3, and hopefully a lot of the same results, right? Like, we don't want to fight down like Corvolds. We don't want to fight down just really any Mayhem Devils if we can help it. But if they're not going to play any basics in their list, we do know that Field of Ruin's really good here. So that is a really valuable piece of knowledge that we just got in this last game. Alright, so let's reveal our Yorion for the last time this league. We are playing in Game 3 for all of the proverbial marbles, and this hand is okay. I don't hate it. It's not great. Not terrible. So let's keep this and see what our friend Mausoleum Wanderer can kind of help put us into here. Alright, so now let's see. They can like try to claim the firstborn this, but I can just go ahead and sacrifice to get rid of that. I do have Lofted Denial available, which is really nice for right now. So if they just want to like tap out for a turn 3 Mayhem Devil, I am going to have the counterspell handy for that, which is nice. If they just like, I don't know, Thought Seize me or something, I think I let that happen. Fable. Honestly, kind of gross. So I still think I have to counter that, even though I am very sad about it. That could have been worse. Okay, so I think here I'm just going to cast my Remorseful Cleric, attack for 2, and hold up Spectral Adversary for next turn and basically cross my fingers. Like, if they just have a Mayhem Devil here, I don't really know that we can win, but I don't know that I'm beating that on the draw either. Okay. I can beat the token for this at least, now that I have an established board. So like this isn't that bad. It's not fantastic. Oh, well, now it is. I don't need to play this untapped, so I'm just gonna get my attack in for 3 here. So they can loot. This can turn into a Corvold, which is gonna be rough if that ends up being the case. But I think most other problems are okay. Getting rid of Bloody Betrayal and a 3rd Fable. Okay, opponent, I see you. Claim the firstborn my Mausoleum, so I guess I'm gonna have to counter that, right? I'm not really gonna get too much use out of the Wanderer, and now if they want to spend all their mana to like, I don't know, Bloody Betrayal this or something, I don't mind just using Rattle Chains. Harvester's obnoxious. Okay. I will put in Spectral Adversary, and now I can untap with Rattle Chains and start getting some hopefully decent attacks in here. They go to 10, and now I can buy Yorion back, which is nice. So the cool thing about doing this like this, though, is that I still have my Rattle Chains up. Kiki Jiki can come back next turn, but I can put Rattle Chains into play, untap, play Yorion, and have Yorion get rid of the Harvester so that they can't copy Harvester. So it's not nothing. So they basically have to provide some huge giant threat right now, like a Corvold or something similar, to kind of overcome this. They can also like just resolve 1 Mayhem Devil. That actually will be good enough on its own too. Bloody Betrayal, however, will not be good enough. So they can just have like a Fatal Push 2, but as it stands, I'm okay. So they could also just like have a Fatal Push or a Rending Valley or something. Like that would kind of suck, not gonna lie. But at least they're not gonna get my Remorseful Cleric. But yeah, look at what they did so far, right? Like 3 Fables, 3 Threaten effects in 6 cards. Well, 7, I guess, but that's also a removal spell. So like their entire plan is basically anti-us, which is really awful. They are going to get rid of Rattle Chains, so you got me there, and Fatal Push the adversary as well. Well, good stuff for you. Alright, well, here's an attack then. But I am still going to Glacial Fortress away the blood token, or Glacial Fortress. I am still going to Yorion into the portable hole, and that can at least get rid of the blood token. I guess I'll give you fake vigilance. And realistically, do I know that they needed the blood token to filter out their draws or anything? Of course not. But if this is going to be... okay, so it is a Corvold, which honestly is pretty obnoxious. But an Aether Gust off the top does kill them on the spot, which is nice. And I already didn't have anything to do about this anyway. So I have Aether Gust, which are good. I think we left in 2 Shacklegeists. Like, those are still okay. Oh, hey, alright, cool. I guess they're just dead. That place. Go away, opponent. Nice. We take those. Alright, cool. Alright, so we got to play our 5 rounds with this updated spirit control list, and honestly, 3-2, given the matchups that we had, I'm not even that sad about it, right? Like, we lost when we lost a die roll to the Gruul aggro deck, which, like, that's just gonna happen. Like, that deck just runs you over. When they get the draws that go, like, turn 1 Soul Scar Mage or Monastery Swift Spirit into turn 2, like, double Burning Tree Adversary into Bushwhacker, like, what is any deck gonna do about that on a draw? So I don't really mind losing those type of games. And then we lost to Rakdos, honestly pretty badly, but I also think a lot kind of had to go wrong for those games, right? Like, being on the draw is also obnoxious there, but that's just kind of like the nature of the game, right? But like we have the 4 Geistlight Snares and the 4 Lofty Denials to go along with Brazen Bowers, all of which can deal with the Shieldred. And then we just like didn't get to line up a counterspell when they had Shieldred, and we just kind of died to it, which stinks. And the double Bone Crusher Giant into the Reckless, what is it called? Reckoner's Bank Buster, I think, the standard card. That card's just like really good in that deck anyway. And the fact that it provides like a 4-power attacker on top of being a really sweet card advantage engine, if I'm being completely honest, I don't know that we shouldn't be playing that. The card's really good. I might try to find room for it in this actually. It seems pretty baller as far as options go. And then but we did beat some cool stuff, right? Like we beat the Lotus Field deck, but we also just like have a giant pile of counter spells. So like that's kind of to be expected as far as that matchup goes. We beat the Devotion deck, which to be fair has some relatively clunky draws that we don't care about, like the Leyline of the Void is basically a mulligan against us, even if it adds Black Pip to their Devotion, because we have so many counter spells for cards like Gary anyway. So like the removal and the low to the ground creature part of the deck is pretty obnoxious. Like that's just going to be a difficult time to kind of get over. But once you can get over that part of things with cards like Temporary Lockdown and Portable Hole, from there it's relatively easy to just like hold up counter spells for the bigger spells like Shieldreds and Garys and stuff. So I'm glad we got to be able to do that. And then the last round, we actually took out like the Mayhem Devil Corvold deck, which is really difficult for us. So like even in that last game, right, where we saw their graveyard, it had out of 7 total cards they had drawn at the time, we saw like 3 Fables and 3 Threaten effects, all of which could just kind of like end us on the spot. And we kind of got fortunate in a couple spots there, right? Like we put in all 4 Aether Gusts so that we could draw them, but drawing one is still opportune when it's nice. We were able to use Field of Ruin and ascertain that they didn't have any basics, therefore we were able to lock them out of a color. Like the decks normally don't play basic mountains, so that line that we took there was relatively safe anyway, but we just had the unexpected bonus of finding out that that specific player didn't bother putting a basic in their deck, so it was even better than we thought it was going to be. So overall, great times and lots of room to kind of build around here. So I think I kind of like this as it stands currently. There are some things that I want to change, like making each of the cards individually a little bit better. So like we could get away with playing like Skyclave Apparitions, for example, instead of Nebelgast Heralds. Maybe something instead of Shacklegeist 2 if we're going to be going through like that route. Like we could be playing cards like the Wandering Emperor. We could be playing cards like Fateful Absence for like a real removal spell instead of a tapper, for example. We could be playing additional copies of Brazen Bower. So there's lots of room for exploration and finding out what you really want to do with this kind of list, right? And in the sideboard, if we're going to be playing cards like Geistlight Snare in the main, we can even turn some of these spots into cards like, say, Rest in Peace over Remorseful Cleric, because that's an enchantment and plays nicely with your Geistlight Snare. But we did already talk about why I'm playing Remorseful Cleric instead of instead of Rest in Peace in this specific Pioneer environment. So I think there's a lot of room to build around. There's a lot of customization that you can do with this if you want to tune your list to beat specific matchups. And I think that's what really separates this kind of like a bigger build away from the traditional Spirits builds, which are of course always 60 cards instead of 80 anyway, but also they're much more aggressive decks. So you're kind of like tuning your deck to be able to attack a lot more efficiently than something like this will, via more 1-drops like Spectral Sailors or cards like Curious Obsession to make your early game much better than your late game, versus this style of deck, which is just like a mid-range deck that definitely scales towards the controlling end of things, where we want more cards like the Memory Deluge, we want the Lofty Denials and Geistlight Snares in the same deck. We want the Portable Holes to slow the game down a little bit. So this is going to be a bit of a different archetype for sure. But I am going to have a really good time, I believe, trying to make this work because so far I really like the direction it's gone in, right? Like the last time we played the other version of this list, we were pretty blessed. We got some good matchups and we were able to play all of those matchups to a perfect 4-0. So like that was really nice because we also just beat up on two of the three most popular decks in the format, which is what we are targeting. And here we didn't get the same matchup spread, but when the games weren't absolutely atrocious, we were able to come out on top. And really, that's all you can ask out of a deck, right? Like when you are able to take a list and just kind of go, bad games will happen because that's always going to be the case, but you can salvage all of your at least decent matchups and still win your bad matchups sometimes. You overall come out with a winning record, and that's what a 3-2 is. It's still a winning record, right? Like a 60% win rate when your games is still certainly not bad at all. So I'll take that, and I will probably try a few more versions of this to see what I ultimately end up liking. And of course, all of y'all will know as soon as I decide on a list. Like in a sideboard, I could be playing cards like Settle the Wreckage. I can playing cards like even Devout Decree to help with Mayhem Devil and Mono Red at the same time. We can be playing cards like third and fourth copies of Temporary Lockdown if we want to target the aggressive red decks, but also mono white. Like we can even move Temporary Lockdowns to the main and then get rid of cards like Shacklegeist in the main. So like there's a lot of room to explore here. And I think that's really the takeaway here is that I am going to have a lot of fun building around this, and I kind of hope anybody who kind of eyes this and decides that they might want to do something similar also has a lot of fun building around this, because honestly it's a pretty good time. There's a lot of room to explore here. But that's enough rambling. That's going to be the end of today's video. And also let me know what cards you might be considering for an archetype like this. Like, did you want the Wandering Emperor in this, for example? Is a card like, say, Dream Trawler worth making it into 75? Or were the Angel package that I was playing previously good enough? Do we want Shark Typhoon back in this? Do we want Temporary Lockdowns in the main instead of only in the board? Lots and lots of questions, and of course we will find answers as we keep trying versions of this. But as always, that's going to be it for today. If you like what you're watching, make sure to let me know. Click the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And I'll see y'all on the next one.